The things I hear you crying about on each bike sounds to me like you need to learn to ride. How can you review any bike at the walking pace speeds that you do? Well, let me just grab my cup of concrete. You're welcome. Before we jump into the questions, I did want to talk about a few really interesting things that I'm quite excited about. IMS are currently developing a big tank for the CRF300L. It's going to be about 13.5 litres, they've said, and it will be available for pre-order in Q1 of 2022. So it should be only a few months away. It's really exciting news. Now, I did ask why they're not planning to make a bigger tank than that, and they said basically because of the complications of getting the fuel picked up out of the wings. It was just easier to get this to the market sooner rather than later, as it's heavily based off the similar tank of the CRF300L. They haven't released pricing or anything like that. We'll just have to wait and see, but I did want to communicate to you that there is a big tank coming, and that was basically the final frontier of mods for the 300L. Basically, you can get everything you want now for those big long distance multi-day adventure trips. So not too much has changed on the 300L since you've seen it. I've put brand new tires on it, Pirelli MT21s. They're my favorite off-road tire. They're a good balance of on-road and off-road capability. I prefer them over the D606. That may be blasphemy to some people, but I just think they perform better in the sand and the mud and those super low grip situations. Yes, they wear a bit quicker, but I think they give you better off-road performance than the D606. The other big change on the 300L is I finally put a radiator guard on. It did take a bit of caressing to get on there, so I will point that out. I haven't had a chance to drop my bike yet, which is also very lucky, but also probably a bit of a disappointment in that I can't tell you how well it protects the bike yet. And I also will comment that it hasn't changed at all the engine temperatures on my bike. The next comment is from Adam, and he's saying, how many bikes is acceptable to have in the shed? I need to get this past the wife. Well, I'm sure we've all been there trying to convince our significant other that one more bike really isn't going to make that much difference to the room in the shed. The answers are, Jim says always room for more. Then I chime in, as many as you can fit and leave room for a bed because your wife will probably kick you out. Next we've got Matt saying, sounds like you need to get rid of the wife. That's a really good recommendation. You'll have plenty more space then, mate. And finally David chimes in with, the real question is how big can the shed be made? Overhanging walls on all three sides, also shelter bikes, just saying. Some pretty great answers there, and that one brought a smile to my face. Surely Yamaha will follow suit and bring out a WR300 or a 350. The WR was a great selling bike. Surely Yamaha are not going to discontinue it. Well, they did already. It's not being produced anymore after 2020 in December, which was really, really sad. The bigger question is, will they do it? And I really don't know. Part of me thinks they will, but I also have that feeling that maybe they feel it's too close to the swap over to electric motorcycles, because like it or not, that's coming, and maybe Yamaha might look at this and go, well, this is a lot of R&D to put into a bike that may only have a 5 to maximum 10-year horizon before electrics completely take over. So maybe that might be their thinking as well. I sure hope it is, let's just go and build it. We're going to keep quiet and surprise everyone in 2022 or 2023. Given so much radio silence over the whole year, it does get me a little bit worried. I'd love to know your thoughts though. Do you think they will go forward with the WR300, or do you think it's done and dusted and they're just waiting for the electric revolution? Paul S has the next question. He's saying, hey mate, how you doing? How long did you wait for your 300L? I'm still waiting on mine, ordered it 2 months ago. Yeah, this is something that a lot of people are experiencing, Paul. It's a massive frustration. Most manufacturers are struggling to get product to their customers. Everyone's in for a long, long wait. I personally know from the people that I have relationships with at dealerships that some of the manufacturers aren't even telling dealerships when stock arrives. It's just arriving at dealerships, and that's when they find out they're getting it. So they can't even tell their customers when, because they're not getting told by Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, KTM, etc., etc. So it really is a big issue, and I do feel for you and everyone who's stuck in this situation. Me, myself, I really hate to say it, but I got quite lucky. money. I put money down on mine in April, and 3.5 weeks later, my bike was there. I was completely surprised. I was expecting to wait 3 to 6 months. I do feel sorry for you, mate, but hang in there. This bike definitely is worth the wait. It's fantastic. I know you probably don't want to hear that at the moment while you're chomping out the bit to get on it and get out in the dirt, but just think of it as the longer you wait, the more accessories will be available for you when you get your bike. Hope the time goes quickly and you get your bike as soon as possible. The next comment is from Pierre saying, hey, how are you getting along with your 300L? Or how you doing, mate? I am getting along fantastic with my 300L. I love it more and more every time I ride it. I just came back from a 4-day gravel off-road event in Sweden where I had my first real chance to properly test mine. I was pleasantly surprised how capable this bike is. Only the suspension needs to be replaced with something a little more adjustable. Completely agree. Keep up the nice work with the channel. Really appreciate your content. Cheers, mate. Thanks for the kind words. How have I been finding my 300L? I love this bike more and more. It just really helps me with that confidence. Other things have really come to the fore as well. That extra torque that it has over the WR300R really does make it so much easier to ride in steep situations. I've done a few steep hill climbs now, and having that extra torque just means you can chug up. It's got a bit more tractor factor. And the same thing seems to happen in the single track where you've got the steep inclines and declines. That little bit of extra torque really goes a long way. The suspension, yes, it is soft, but I haven't found its absolute limits yet. Then again, I'm not riding it super hard, but I do agree, I eventually do plan to go with some adjustable suspension. A lot of people have asked me what exactly I'm going with. I'm first going to bump up the preload on the Honda just to see what that does so I can communicate to you whether that will get enough people by the soft suspension. Once that's done, I'm going to buy YSS suspension. Now, I can't decide whether to go with the budget option or do you want me to go for the high-end stuff, because I really feel like there's two different audiences here that will apply to. So let me know, do you want me to go with the budget option and see how that goes? I think that could be quite fun to see how far you could push the cheaper options of the suspension, or just how much potential you could unlock with the 300L if you went all out with the premium stuff. So let me know in the comment section. Other than that, like I said, loving this bike. It just gets better and better. Starts up first time every time and has never skipped a beat. So I'm just loving it so far. But that is me, rose-colored glasses and all, so keep that in consideration. My enthusiasm doesn't necessarily mean it's the right bike for you. The next comment is from Lockie, and he's talking about my DRZ that I sold quite a while ago, if you weren't aware. He said, I like how you've had the bike for a while now, but doesn't even look like it's ridden. Glad I haven't subbed to this amateur channel. Reason being for that was when I had the DRZ, I actually had some pretty serious health complications, which meant I barely got to ride it. But of course, you've decided to make up your mind by summing up my whole life from a 10-minute video. Enjoy wherever it is you've gone. But for the rest of us, I just really wanted to iterate. It doesn't matter how much or how often you ride. We've all got our own life complications and problems. Don't hold yourself accountable to anyone else's metric. Just get out there and have fun when you can and the way you enjoy it best. The next comment is from Eureka, and he's asking me what kind of tool is that? And he's referring to my latest ride video. Dave dropped his bike and bent his brake lever all out of alignment, so we had to use my little multi-tool to fix it. So the specific tool is the Motion Pro multi-purpose tool. Now, it is very, very helpful out on the trails. I picked it up this year and I've got to say it's replaced a lot of tools in my toolkit. It's so versatile. It's an absolutely fantastic little thing. It's very lightweight, it's very compact. Just its functionality and its use case, it means I've been able to take tools out of my toolkit, not only making that lighter, but the fact that it's such a light tool itself, it saves weight. And for me, saving weight really is one of my major priorities. So it's been a fantastic little tool. So highly recommend it if you're thinking of getting one. The final question here is from Adversity, ADVversity. I love that name, it's great, mate. Do you sometimes feel a creeping fear that the WR300 is just around the corner? As I replied to you in the comment section, mate, hell no. I feel a creeping excitement. If Yamaha came out with a WR300R, I would just lose my crap. I think it would be fantastic to see that from Yamaha. In fact, I think it would be a massive disservice to the fans and a real drop of the ball if Yamaha Yamaha don't offer another small displacement dual sport, because the WR is such a great little dual sport. I would be really excited, and I'd really want to get a leg over and do a comparison between the two. So that wraps up this episode of Q&A. If you got more comments for the next video, chuck them down below. I will try and get another one out sooner than it took me on this one that I've just done. So enjoy your holidays, stay shiny side up, and I'll see you in the new year. Catch you later, guys.